Do you remember your plan? This is kind of a plan definitely led by
I
Shanla.
I
Yep.
do.
Yeah,
A workers' revolt.
that's
We were
exactly it. Yep. There's an instance in this fight that like lives in my memory of like Orcus going from nearly dead to full because of Shanla. And I remember the moment just being like, "What the fuck? How am I supposed to?" I thought this moment would be so cool, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, there's a place with a bunch of weebs. Nice." Um, but you guys were like, "Oh, neat." Anyway, and I was a little sad. Hello, hello, and welcome to A Slight Chance of Adventure, a Pathfinder First Edition campaign diary podcast. My name is Tyler. I was the DM of this campaign, and with me I have two of my players, Tom
Hello, I'm Tom. I played Orcus, a hobgoblin slayer.
and Gavin.
Hello, I'm Gavin. I played Shanla, a human oracle.
There were two other players, Elika, a half-elf druid, and Firis, a catfolk blood rager. Last time, the party grouped up with an archaeologist by the name of Priscilla to explore some underwater ruins near the island of Rantai. Sorry, not Rantai. Near the island of Tuval. And they discovered those ruins. They explored those ruins. They found a magical staff. Got that staff. Then they got back up, fought some people who had been messing with their boat, and then they agreed to work with Forces Arbac, Orcus's dad, to take down the fleet master in Rantai. And we will pick up right as they arrive in Rantai. So yeah, we pick up. You guys have just arrived in Rantai. You guys remember this is your first time. It was your first time in Rantai, um, I believe.
The slave
So
island.
this the capital of the slave island. Yes, the island is Tuval. The city is Rantai. Um, and you're here because you agreed to work with forces to take down the fleet master. Um, do
Wait,
you?
hadn't we been there already when he summoned us, and I met with my
Oh, you're
father?
right. Sorry. Yeah, you briefly met with him. So you briefly stopped in Rantai, met with him, left for a little bit, and now you're back. You're right, Tom. Uh, the first thing that happens this session, Ferris fails to play banjo. He's been on a terrible streak, honestly. It's real sad. Uh, but do you guys remember much about Rantai or your impression of it at the time?
Um, Not really. I don't think we had like. I think it was mentioned that we like saw slaves, but we didn't really. Don't remember much about the city.
I think a lot of it was we avoided being there as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
It was kind of enemy
Because most of the
territory.
time we were in the free city on the island.
Marco, yeah.
Yeah. I think we just thought of it as enemy territory and didn't really get near it.
Right, right. So I'm not exactly sure what you guys had discussed with forces, what you guys had just figured out or planned with yourselves. What I do know from looking at what happens is you guys had learned the fleet master is going to be in town in Rantai, and he's going to get attacked, but you're going to fight him. That was the
Hmm.
agreement. Um,
Mm-hmm.
exactly what the dynamics of this were, I forget the specifics, but you guys had come up with a plan. Do you remember your plan? This is kind of a plan definitely led by
I
Shanla.
I
Yep.
do.
Yeah.
A workers' revolt.
That's
We were
exactly it. Yep.
we were gonna take back the means of production from the bourgeoisie. Um, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So that you disguise yourselves to look like common people. Apparently,
Mm-hmm.
Fierce drinks a disguise. So most of you are like humanoid, so you can pull it off. Fierce drinks a disguise person potion. The potion. Um, and you dock in the east dock, and then send the ship and crew away. So like you get out and then send them like get out of here. Um, so you arrived in Rantai disguised and head into Rantai with the intentions to start a worker revolution. That's in the notes.
Yep.
uh, so clearly that was the language being used at the time too. Yeah. Um, you head to a tavern by the name of the Bastard's Barrel,
Mm-hmm.
and where Shanla, with the help of Orcus, starts to bring the people into an anti-fleet master and chief fervor. So like, just fuck all the big guys. Um, do you remember much of this?
Yeah, I remember it was a little awkward to do, but I essentially said, "Yeah, I heard that they're gonna cut our pay in half again. This is bullshit. We don't
Right,
gotta put up with this."
right. Do
Shala the Marxist.
apparently. Do you
Yep.
remember your contribution to this, Tom, at all? Or
No, I do not.
Yeah. We do all the work. We're the working class. We deserve our rightful pay.
exactly, and the people are clearly amicable to this. They you know, I'm sure you make like a diplomacy or charisma check and blow it out of the water.
Yep.
Um, and so as the fervor reaches its peak, Elika burns down the bar. um,
Elka didn't know what we were doing. She's just like,
no, she just
"Yeah, riot, chaos."
she just saw her chance and took it. Um, outside the bar, so at this point you like lead the crowd into the streets, and outside of the bar you briefly come into conflict with the town watch, but there's like a whole crowd of people, and so the town watch just run off. And you guys group like kind of like get essentially lead a riot through town, um, and through Rantai towards the docks. Um, because I think the plan here is like, okay, the fleet master will be in the docks. We'll bring a big crowd towards the docks, and then we'll get him, right? Which is
Yep.
kind of what happens. Yeah, at an intersection. Oh yeah, so you encounter the fleet master. There's like an intersection, and everyone. Wait, no, sorry. Let me read my notes for a second.
I do remember this combat that happens.
Oh yeah, we'll get to the combat in a little bit. Um, you guys come to an intersection, and you meet another crowd of people, and these are like a lot of dock workers because you've got a lot of like townsfolk, and now you're meeting a crowd of dock workers who are like, "Hey, who are you? What are you causing doing? Be so rowdy?" But Shanla, um, is in the process of convincing all of the dock workers to join up with the riot, or as I said here, join the revolution.
Yep.
um, when the fleet master shows up. So he's arrives. And I remember, I didn't know it here, but I remember it was like everybody was like coming on board, and then they're like, "Oh shit!" And like everybody quieted down as like, "Oh shit, the fleet master's here." Um, and it doesn't look like there was many words exchanged. Pretty quickly, a fight breaks out. Do you guys remember this fight? You said Tom. You said you remembered. So
Yeah, I remember he had some lackeys with him, but he
yeah,
was the main threat as a magus, I believe.
he was a magus. Yep. Yeah,
Lightning.
yeah, he had Lefla with them, the lady who had led the raid on Perico, who Elika was very pissed at. Um, and there was also a Slayer, who was like a bowman of some sort. And I think it was, I think it was, let's see, Lefla and Slayer. Yeah. So there's like three of them, four of you. Um, and yeah. The name of the fleet master was Vitasi Unas, by the way. He was a level 8 magus. Um,
Ooh. I think I used Sanctuary to stop him from killing me at some point.
well,
Or was that a different fight?
I remember that. No, I think that was what I mainly remember about this fight was that I didn't get to the was that I didn't get to do shit with the fleet master. I did.
Hmm.
You guys like CC slash avoided. You guys just mostly just ran around in circles around him, dealing with his lackeys, and I didn't have a full grasp on how Magus worked. It was difficult to manage. Um, And so I walked away from, and you guys stomped this fight pretty well. It wasn't a hard stomp, but I think the Orcus got really low at one point, and then Sean. I think there's an instance in this fight that like lives in my memory of like Orcus going from nearly dead to full because of Shanla. And I remember the moment just being like, "What the fuck? How am I supposed to?" Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
so I was really disappointed with myself from this fight because the main thing I care about, I think I've said before, with fights isn't like beating or winning. It was getting to like show off how cool the enemies, like the things that the enemies can do, so you guys know what you like overcame. you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, and I completely failed to execute on that with the Fleet Master. The closest he got was like he made a big fireball he was going to
Yeah.
throw at you, and then one of you interrupted him, or like he failed a concentration check. It was bad.
Sometimes the dice are just like, no, your characters are lame.
No, I could have sworn he hit someone with lightning through his sword though at one point.
Yeah, I think that's what like nearly dropped Orcus was him hitting him with like a shocking grasp through his sword. Yeah. Do do do. So yeah, in the during the fight, the way it ends up finishing out is Fierus ends up killing Lefla, the shaman, and Elika ends up finishing off the Slayer, and the Fleet Master actually tries to flee. Um, and you guys chase after him, and he turns a corner, and you lose sight of him. Um, but then you later find out a little later that like some like of people working for forces were like waiting nearby and like grabbed him and took care of him. Um,
Yeah.
I remember that.
and you guys collect the loot, and oh yeah, do you remember what happens next?
I remember a bunch of guards came in. It had to be like, yes, yes, you're gonna get your
Right,
rights.
yeah, the crowd. We had to deal with the crowd. Yeah,
Uh,
Yes, get better rights while slaving.
yeah,
Did
yeah. There are some
are
contradictions. Um,
are we the bad guys?
uh,
that could have been an angle he did, but
yeah, yeah. Um, so, Tom, do you have any? Do you know what happens after the particular thing that happens after this?
pretty sure we go confront my dad.
I think maybe in the next session a little bit. But the main thing is your dad does do something. He hangs the chief and some other person out the window. Like there's like a window of like his mansion that overlooks some of the part of the city. He's kind of like because there's like cliffs, so he's like a bit up the cliff. And the
Hmm.
chief's
Mm-hmm.
body is hanging from that. And Forces gives a speech, which I remember was like enhanced with magic, so the whole city could hear it. I'll read
Yeah.
out a little bit of that. People of Rantai, I Forces Arbact have killed uh, Forces Arbac, Master of Chains, have killed the chief. He talks about how you guys killed the Fleet Master. He talks about how the Ivory Fang has taken control of some of the ports. That's apparently what he agreed to do with Druid. He goes along saying like, I'm the new leader, and that's a good thing, and you should all trust me. And he talks about the destruction a little bit. And he talks about making a better Tuval. And saying, yeah, I'm gonna make everything better. That's why you should all trust me. And
Make
the
Tuval great again.
make Tuval great again, pretty much. Yep. Um, and
Without slavery this time.
yeah, he does say that's part of the agreement with Druin to work with him is he's freeing a lot of the slaves. He's actually doing that, purely out of his own self interest. But the slaves are free. You know, so that's where that session ended.
Mm-hmm.
1 month and 2 days have passed since the start of the campaign. Oh, I don't think I've ever noted. In my world, a month is 33 days.
All of them are
All of them.
One of these days you gotta give us a calendar, dude.
good. Good for you, man. Fuck these normal human calendars. Why does one day be one month be like 28 days? Oh, this year it's 29 days.
Yeah, no.
Fuck you, dude.
I was like, I'm not gonna. I didn't want to like keep track of. Oh, it's February, so it's this long, right? So I was like, yeah, I'll just
Yeah.
make it 33 days. There you go. Which means like technically, when you give like the lifespan of like a human in my world and say it's like 100 years, that's a lot longer. That's like a good chunk longer than like there's more days in the
Unless
year.
there's only 11 months in the year.
No, there's actually so there's 12 months, but then there's also 4 days that aren't in any part of the month that are like in New Year's celebration days. Um, because then the,
Mm.
the year is a nice solid 400 days long, if I did the math correct. And I know I have some days like that. I think it's 4. So yeah. Anyway, we pick up next session, and you guys go to meet with forces. Right, and this is where he reveals a bunch of stuff to you guys. Um,
Yay, forces.
yeah. He tells you guys he will be gathering a bunch of information, attending the meeting that's in 8 days. Like, because there's a meeting between a bunch of the island leaders. This one on Kalau, I think. Um, And he's like, yeah, I'll show up to that and present some stuff. But then he also reveals some particular information to you guys. Do you remember what he reveals to you?
I do.
You do? What's he reveal, Gavin?
Oh, that was a good way to
What?
if Tom remembers.
No.
I remember like the conversation about Orcus's mom comes up, but other than that, I do not remember now.
Oh, damn.
Uh, but, well, he basically discovered where his mom went to, and that there was like another country, right?
Net?
Continent,
Yes.
same thing, really.
Is that
And it's full of weeaboos,
it is,
if I
yes.
remember correctly.
So, he reveals, I don't think you guys got a name at the time. But what the continent
No.
would eventually come to be called Obigawara from me. That's the name I settled on, which is a more like Asian inspired land. And the way he reveals it to you guys is he like pushes like a katana up in front of you guys and is like, "Have you ever seen anything like this before?" And I didn't tell you it was a katana. You tell you guys. I just described it and like had you guys work to the point
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, "Oh, that's a katana." Um,
Yep.
um, I remember I thought this would be so cool. I thought this moment would be so cool, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, there's a place with a bunch of weebs, nice." Um, but you guys were like, "Oh, neat." Anyway, and I was a little sad. Um, but yeah, and the relevance to Orcus was that his mom, Forces had met his mom on Avasara, and she had come from the south from Obigawara, and they met and interacted. And so there's like a establishment of hobgoblins on both Obigawara and to the north Astoria. And Forces is like, holy shit, there's big trade here. We can do big trade between these hobgoblins, and he can be the guy to
Mm-hmm.
do it. Um, and he needs Orcus a little bit to legitimize his connection to Orcus's mom, who is somewhat of royalty in the Hobgoblin Nation on Obigor. So that's the big reveal with who Orcus's mom is and stuff, and what Force's
Yeah.
plan is. He wants to make big money doing big trade, uh, which is why he needed to
Yeah.
take control of Rantai and everything, take out both the Fleet Master and the chief. Uh, so,
Yeah.
um, so you guys leave you leave after talking to him. You head to the docks. You meet with Druin, and you see all the slaves being handed over to the Ivory Fang. So there's a whole ton of slaves in Rantai, and so they're all being uh, brought out and handed over to the Ivory Fang, who are taking care of them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, Elika. Elika's player at this point had an idea for the direction he actually wanted to take Elika in, which is he wanted to create like a druid organization, like an international druid organization that would come to be known as the Maja. And so this was where he like started executing that idea. Um, and so Elika goes and talks to some ex-slave druid frog folk and tells them, "Hey, there's these Maja on the island. Come check us out. It's cool." You get a ride over to Perico with the Ivory Fang. Um, you ask Javez, not Joso Javez, who's the Javez is a guy from Mr. R, um, for money, and he gets you 1,000 gold. I don't know why. You
You asked
guys,
really nicely.
yeah, I guess so. I forget why. I don't know if it's like payment for, yeah. Um,
I wonder what we did with that 1,000 gold.
bought a bunch of equipment. That's what you always do with Pathfinder Gold. Um,
Yeah, it's true.
so you meet up with your crew and you head to Kalaloi, the northernmost island. In Kalaloi, Elika buys some stuff for Leon. Shanla buys
Mm-hmm.
a +2 belt of some kind and a heavy haversack. I think it's probably like con belt. Then you leave Kalaloi and head to. Oh, see, Kalaloi is the one of the cities on Kalau, and you leave that city and head to Bakdal, which is a city in the center of Kalau, to meet with Tuzma. You haven't seen Tuzma in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you arrive in. Why did there's a typo here, dumbass. Um, so you meet with Tuzma, um, And I remember the main way I portrayed her here was like overwhelmed because there's a lot of like paperwork and stuff happening. The big meetings were planned, and she was like, oh, there's so much. And yeah, she was doing her best. You
Yeah.
got there was an academy in town you go to. Um, uh, Elika learns a bit more about elves, and also there's some speculation about who her parents are. Um, and then I remember one thing that happened here was some of them were like, "Oh my God, you're an oracle to Shanla," because like some of the academics, oracles in my world are pretty rare.
Yeah.
They're like they were like wanting to poke and prod you. Oh, 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 ah. Mm,
For how rare oracles are, it's a little weird how many times one of us plays one.
yeah.
That's because oracles are awesome.
Mhm.
It's not our fault.
Okay, yeah. So what had happened at the academy with Elika is then been like, okay, if you're related to Tuzma, Tuzma had like one sister, and that sister last time she was seen was in a collapsing tower in Old Tintella. So if her body's not there, she must be your mom, and something must have happened with that the Tuzma's older sister. So what the heck? And so Elika turns into a bird and flies over to old Tintella because she can do that now because she's a druid and her wild shape lasts hours.
Yep.
I remember this was like a revelation to all of us. Like, oh my god, she can just fly for like hours. She can go wherever she wants.
Yep.
And she goes to the collapsed lighthouse that you guys had slept in when you'd gone to Old Tintella, and confirms going into the water that there are no bones in the water. She like goes from a bird to a fish and swims around, and there's no bones. So like, oh my god, Tusma's older sister is alive. Wow. You guys, while Elika is off doing that, you guys talk to a head of administration, head of military, and head of education in Kalau, casting Zone of Truth each time and confirming that they aren't followers of Apollyon. You see, you're going around and like being like, "Hey, are you evil? Hey, are you evil?" Because you guys know there's a traitor somewhere.
Yep.
And then Elkid rejoins the group and set off for Mount Kapow to meet with the followers of Arcturus on Kalau. And that's where we ended that session. 1 month and 5 days had passed. Um, so, any thoughts or opinions or feelings or anything?
Not particularly
No.
about that episode.
I will say it's a little
Mm-hmm.
almost understated just how much of an impact that would be to Tuzma herself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there was like a little role play here. Well, and for Tuzma, her sister had been like dead to her for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
um, so it was probably weird more than anything for her. I think there was a little bit of role
Like in a
play.
show or movie, that would have been like a huge zoom in moment,
Yeah,
like
I
thing,
think I think
right?
I did execute like the moment decently of like going you guys realize, oh, it's like I revealed the story about Tuzma's older sister falling in the rubble, and you were like, wait a second,
Mm-hmm.
we have to go there. Have to go. Alec has to go check for the bones. Then that moment, I think there was like a moment of like, oh, okay, like a light bulb came on, you know. Um,
It is interesting how, like, when you make your own world in Pathfinder, there is a moment where you have to kind of figure out how do I want the calendar, the
oh
year,
yeah,
the world to work.
right.
Because sometimes it's like, oh, we don't need to talk about this stuff, but eventually someone will ask that question. It's like, oh shit, I didn't prepare this huge world building thing that affects the entire world.
Yeah. Well, like I've at some point during this campaign, I think it was like near the start, I decided that that was how my calendar worked, but I've just never mentioned it to you guys.
Yeah.
um, so that was yeah. There are plenty of things like that, as a DM you have to think of, and then but like just there's never any reason to reveal. Like you have to figure them out for your own reasons, but you don't have to reveal them to the party. Oh yeah, there
Hmm.
was one thing I'm somewhere in here I have noted. I had a provisional name for Obigawara, the continent that would become Obigawara that I forgot about until looking over the notes for this session. Um, it was Kanagona. That was the original name I was gonna go for with Obigawara. Kanagona. Which I think Obigawara is better.
I think the change was a good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. I never said the Kanagona to you guys ever, so yeah. Obigawara ended up being the name.
It sounds better.
Thank you.
Obigawara.
Mm. Um,
Do you have a globe like in mind in your head, Tyler?
what do you mean globe? Like for the
Like of the world? Like do you have a world map or globe in your head?
well, yeah. For the most recent campaign, I've been actually really working on world map. So I have like the continents largely at this point. For a while in my head, I had just like, yeah, there's a thing over here and there, and I kind of knew like a general arrangement, but I hadn't like drawn out a map. But somewhat recently, I did actually properly draw out a map. Um, and you said globe. My world isn't technically a globe. Um, it's kind of flat, but there's weird like connections where you can circumnavigate the world. That's like through like magical
Yeah.
connection between like regions of the world, less so from like it being a circle or a sphere. Um, just because I thought that was neat.
I will say that then brings questions of physics to mind,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. I've definitely like hand waved like, okay, but how would that affect the climate?
Magic.
Yeah, magic. It's just like it just happens to have worked out in a way that allows me to treat it mostly the same as our world, climate wise.
Magic.
yeah.
Magic. Uh, yeah. Because you're figuring out the fluid dynamics of the weather systems of yeah, no thanks. Um,
You can't be an expert in everything.
yeah, yeah. So, um, but yeah, any other thoughts, or do you think that's good?
Uh, world building is hard.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's fun, but it's not easy sometimes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, I think that's a good place to end off. So, see everybody next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.